I'm here with Roger Vincent, who is co-founder of Bourn, and Roger was a speaker at our recent UK Invoice Finance and ABL conference in Birmingham. At that conference, we had a roundtable session, and Roger was a facilitator of one of the roundtables. And the discussion topic for Roger's table was real-world examples of AI and invoice finance. Roger, welcome. Roger, perhaps you could just give us a summary of the discussion and your findings from that roundtable session.
Yeah, sounds good. So on our table, we had a mix of sort of banks, lenders, and technology providers. So a really good mix of views from around the table. We started off by giving sort of a quick introduction of what tools we're using today, ranging from just a simple application in Copilot that might be available through their organization to sort of iterations of that start to connect in with their other systems, all the way through into sort of using ChatGPT or using Claude as a standalone proposition to try and experiment. So it was clear that different banks and lenders were at different stages with the application, but every single organization was using it. We talked to different people across how they're using it in sales, how they're using it in risk, and how they're using it in operations to either drive efficiency, to sort of identify opportunities, or to look at mitigating risk and potentially looking at mitigating fraud. We did sort of dig into a little bit of the data privacy concerns around kind of this, everyone's chucking data into these systems, but the guardrails and the standards around this are still fairly new. And I think we'll be catching up with the use of AI over the next year or so. Standards like ISO 42001. We talked about the investment cycle, that it's easy to spin up tools today and they come fairly cheap out the door and obviously deliver value, but no one really had a long-term view of how these costs might ramp up. So yes, you might be using AI to augment processes or people, or you might ultimately be using them to replace people, but the long-term costs are not yet established. And in that same sort of vein, we were talking about how agents, AI agents, could start to come and really disrupt that target operating model for some of these lenders. Look at the way that you might automate processes in ops, look at how you might use data more widely in risk, or look at how you might take some of those mundane processes that are delivered into relationship managers and free them up to go and work on sort of revenue generating activity and understanding the customer. We also kind of touched on the final point, which was how do these guys think they're going to be interfacing with the with software providers in the future? So currently, it was quite clear from the event that these companies, these banks and lenders are probably a little bit exhausted of seeing all these different types of tech and being sold technology. What I think the views were that there's a consolidation into chat interfaces that's happening. So more and more work will be done in things like Copilot through chat interfaces rather than potentially standalone systems. So we talked about how that could develop over time and how technology providers could look to integrate into them. No one had a firm view, but I think that the larger organizations were sort of leaning on the interfaces from the large tech providers, so things like Copilot or interfaces like Teams and sort of Teams in Copilot. And yeah, I think everyone saw an opportunity to consolidate systems or consolidate the way that workflows and tasks and operational teams manage customers.
So it sounds like it's very early days still. Of course, that's not surprising. But do you think this will all evolve into a more structured approach? Do you think that's what the table was sort of leaning towards, and maybe the current software providers taking a lead in kind of getting to that structured approach?
Yeah, I think there's two lines of thought really. I think on the table, one of the people that are trying to use AI to do things faster and better and more cheaply than they do today. So augmenting. The other view is, hang on, are we missing a potential trick to reinvent the way that we deliver this product to the customers? So I think the common use of AI to try and automate processes is probably a fairly common standard across the group, but slightly less thinking, slightly less forward thinking as to how this could impact the customer and how we might be able to reinvent the whole concept of working capital moving forward. So yeah, I think two of them are moving at different paces.
Do you think in, say, 3 years' time, we're going to see a completely different approach to working capital finance and the way these services are currently offered?
Yeah, I think we're going to go through some rapid transformation in this world. I think the way that you can use technology today and supercharge it with AI means that small businesses like us that are trying to help banks and lenders to automate or to reinvent things like working capital, we can move faster than we've ever moved before, and we can deliver more with less people. And ultimately, we can sort of make an impact more quickly in the industry. Now, because when you speak to these lenders and you speak to these banks, you're not introducing a new technology to them. Every single person pretty much in a bank now has these tools available to them. You're pushing at an open door. They might be moving at different speeds, depending on how large they are or how small they are. But ultimately, I think everyone's moving in the same direction, which is a huge opportunity for technology providers and banks and lenders to come together to deliver something very, very different to what we do today.
Well, Roger, thanks very much for the summary. And of course, at Bourn, this is very much the space that you're in. So I think we'll be watching this space very carefully in the coming months and years. So thank you again.
Thank you, Michael.